Welcome to Pile Fans International. Today we've got Alex from America who's making his debut. Welcome, Alex.
How's it going, everyone? Pleasure to be here.
We'll let Alex introduce himself a bit. Just let him obviously talk about his Pile experience, and then we'll get discussing about the current two matches that were played this week.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alex. First and foremost, I'd love to thank Sterg for having me on and the whole team here at PAOK International. You guys have been very welcoming, so I really appreciate that. And I'm stoked to be here. I'm a younger generation fan, kind of like Nick has talked about in the past. I think my experience is pretty similar to his. I kind of my first fond memories were the triumph over Roma in 2008-9. That's when I really started to get into it. I really started to understand what was going on. I got into Panathinaikos because of my papu. He would, recount stories from the 70s, 80s, 90s. And then it really kicked off 2008-9 with Roma. And 2010, I bought my first jersey. It was a Cissé jersey. I went to the jersey unveiling. It was at, I think, Marusi. I met, the guys who were there. It was Cissé and Leto and Ninis and Zorvas. Got a picture with a couple of them. So that was a lot of fun. And, it just took off from there. I've been a, diehard since through the ups and, a lot of lows over, the past 10 years. But yeah, that's the broad strokes of it. And now we're here in happier times. So, that's kind of my story.
Excellent. Welcome. Glad to have you on board. You're very vocal. You watch a lot of the games. As also glad to have you on board. We'll start off with discussing the first game, AEK, which was done on a few days ago. Our first derby of the season at home. I think there was high expectations, especially we came off a high versus Villarreal. AEK came off a huge win as well over Brighton in England. We just felt that coming into the game, I think we were quite confident, especially with AEK missing a few key players, that we can take advantage of it. We'll get your thoughts there, Alex, on what you thought of the game. Bit of a breakdown on what you think.
It was, yeah, it was tough, like you said, Serge. It was high expectations. First derby for us. They had already had their derby against Olympiacos. So, you know, obviously we wanted to win before the game. I was saying Mononiki only win. I wasn't even considering a draw really. And it was a letdown. We didn't, we were not up to standard. I don't want to talk even about the reffing. We can talk about that briefly if we want, but that's not the most concerning part to me. It's the performance. And yeah, I don't. There was not much positives to take away, unfortunately. And I hate to say that because I think I tried to get positives from almost anything, but I struggled to find many, if any, positives from that. Juric's goal was superb. Well taken shot early on. We thought it was going to be all uphill from there. Um, but it wasn't, obviously. So it was a tough one. And the performance definitely the most concerning part for me, not just the result to a rival at home. The performance, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We took the early lead. It was a brilliant ball from Forty, found Juricic behind the defensive line, and from that angle was a rocket. Early on, we went 1-0 up, and you're right. We thought from there this could be anything 2-3-0, easy kind of game. I just
Especially with the early goals, like against Panatolikos, it was the same thing. We got that early goal and then we just kept going. Obviously, we're not going to score five against AEK, but it felt like it could be that similar situation, like you were saying, 10th minute goal. Okay, we could get another one before half, and then we're cruising. But it obviously was just not like that. Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah. I think it was kind of a weird sort of attacking front with Juricic and Bernard. We saw Bernard go revert back to that left wing. I don't know if that's his natural position going forward. I think early in his career he was that left wing, but is definitely more suited to that attacking mid role in that middle of the park. And I think we were exposed. I think we were outcoached really because ever since that the goal went in, AEK just really turned it on against us, and I'll discuss this later as well as part of a key point as well with the ASTERAS Tripolis game. But we just were outcoached. Ruben, who seems to be our focal point for our attack, had very minimal touches. Usually averages about 60 touches on the ball. They really tightly marked him. He only had around 17, no more than 20
In
touches.
in 71 minutes played, he had it was 14 completed passes out of 18 attempts. So you do the math, it's like every 5 minutes he completes one pass. As you said, he averages over 90 minutes, over 60 completed passes. So they held him to basically a quarter of what he does. It's just, again, as our focal player, you want to call him our playmaker or not. He sits back as a number six, but all the play goes through him, and to limit him to a successful pass every 5 minutes is just, when I saw that stat, I was like, oh my god. We knew the performance was lacking, but then you get like the stat confirmation of it and see how drastic it was. It was, yeah, that's really concerning. So
Yeah.
it's got to be out coached because yeah, we could say he's tired. He's 35. We could say all this, like, yeah, we need to be monitoring his work, but I do think it's out coached. Yeah, I do think so.
Yeah, definitely. I think this game was shouting for Aral more so than Ruben. I think we just needed to just go in a bit more physical because that's what we'll kind of expect from this game. There was a lot of physicality in this game. It's a derby. It's naturally expected, especially with the bad blood between just what happened in the events of last season. Obviously, I can't really say, if the off-field stuff would affect the players and want revenge. Obviously, they want to go for the win, do it for their fans. I don't think there was any real bad blood on the field that led to that, which is a positive thing. They're professionals at the end of the day. But the goal we considered was very soft. I think it was just an innocent ball in the end. Juanca failed to deal with it, and then from there he just laid on the floor. It was never a foul. I think he just milked trying to get a foul because it was a really poor clearance, and it was just a simple pass to Zubo who hit it first time with our players just standing still. Not much Brignoli could have done there with that shot. It was just a well hit shot, and I felt we really lacked that discipline to just clear the ball, just get up and just defend. Why try and milk a free kick or anything in that dangerous situation?
It was, you hit it on the nail. You hit the nail on the head for me. It was bad mentality there. The more and more I watched it, I do agree with you that the Juan car wasn't a penalty. Originally I thought it was. I mean, not a penalty, a foul. Originally I thought it was, but then you watch it, and you realize, yeah, you gotta be unbiased here, and it's probably not a foul. But it's the mentality that everyone just kind of stood there, like you said, and kind of threw their hands up, which kind of everyone does it, but it's a professionalism thing where you can't, not in that area. Like you can't hope for the lines of VAR, for offside. There's nothing like that. It's you can't just stop playing, and we kind of all did. All 10 guys who are behind the ball there, because we were in our box, they just stopped playing, and he had a free shot, and this, he was there to take the shot. Zuber, I think it was Zuber, right?
Yeah, Zubo.
But it wasn't even, I don't want to bash it, but it wasn't even in the corner of the goal. It was like, he was just there, and he saw that everyone was standing around, and he just made sure he put the ball in the net and let the ref do the rest for him.
Yeah,
So, it was more, it was more us not responding and lacking the mentality to just keep playing until something definitive came, rather than, Zuber being, prolific in my opinion. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, it was upsetting. It was upsetting, especially when it came in the half. Um, and it was that 1-0 mentality that we've had in the past couple of games where it really really hurt us, where we went up 1-0 and we didn't we didn't really take it to them. We let them take the game to us after that 1-0, and the goal was going to come after that. Like we were not going to avoid it, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, and I can talk about it now because it seems to be seems to happen quite often where we take a 1-0 lead and then we just fall apart. Something happens mentally, and we just fall apart. It's happened with Dinpro at home. Seen it happen in this game. We saw it versus Panetolikos. We saw it in this morning's game where
Yep.
we get the goal and then we just fall asleep. We let the teams come to us and outplay us. And in this instance, from that goal, AEK did outplay us in that first half. There's no doubt about it. They were the better team. They were the more threatening team. They had big chances. Second half was a bit of a different story. I felt we played a lot better, but the subs were way too late. What AEK did was around that 60th minute mark, they almost did like a triple sub. Essentially, it was like one sub, then a double sub. So we'll just call it, say, a triple sub. AEK made the first move, brought in fresh legs, and with a and just they found space on the right. They broke free. I can't remember who was. It went to VAR and it was clear onside. Maybe Pineda. No, Pineda got the goal, but some
Eliasson, maybe,
yeah, someone broke free on the left,
maybe.
and then yeah, Pineda was there to tap it in. And then that comes at the 68th minute mark, and then we make our subs at the 70th minute mark when you can see what was happening at halftime or the first half. That halftime we needed to make the adjustments. Halftime or that 60th minute, make those adjustments because the game was shouting for adjustments. What we were doing was clearly not working. The subs came in too late, in my opinion. That's why I say I believe Yova did get outcoached by
Yeah.
Almeida. The subs came too late, and by then AEK were already set up. They had the lead. We weren't breaking them down. They had brought in fresh players. They're probably I definitely agree. Galanopoulos should have gotten red carded for that second foul. He did take out Mancini. It was a clear foul.
It was at the knees. Like there was no.
No intention to go for the ball,
Yeah.
especially when on the yellow. And if it's, there was talks that the referee warned Almeida, it's either Almeida subs him off or he red cards him. If that's true, that happened. Like that's disgraceful. And we did
I
see
really hope that's not true. I really hope, just for the sake of. I mean, we know this league is Otinane, but just for the sake of just it going in the right direction, let's say, like I really hope that's not true.
it came from a foreign ref. And Galanopoulos did eventually get subbed as well. So
Of
at
course,
that
you got
point,
sub. Of course,
at
of
that point,
course,
the
because
game was over. Once they got 2-1, we never looked likely to score. We had that half chance. I think we saw Forty and Spora up front together. It's something that I do want to see a little bit more because I think Forty is more of that complementary style striker. He did create that snapshot um, for Spora. I reckon he probably could have got it on target. I know it's a snapshot, a bit of pressure from the defenders. I think he could have just done a little bit better. Villena, I think, had a couple of chances as well, half chances, but by then the game was gone, and it was a disappointing derby in our
yeah,
opinion. Yeah, you can probably say was a draw a fair result, maybe. I would have taken a draw if with the way we
based
played.
on the performance, yeah, yeah, I would have taken a draw too. Um, Going back to Foti and Sporar, I found it interesting. I don't know if you listened to the post game press conference for Jovanovic. He was asked by a journalist that question, like, would we ever go 4-4-2 straight up? And he kind of I wouldn't say he dodged the question, but you know, if you go back in the video, and I urge everyone to go see it if you're interested in 4-4-2. It's about 10 minutes into that video post game Ike. He basically said that yeah, he would do it, but the way he answered the question is he would never start that way. Which I'm not saying we have to shift to 4-4-2, but even you proposed prior to, I think it was the I game. I
Yeah.
think you proposed 4-4-2 with both of them up top, which I thought even before the game it's a good try. But the way he answered the question, it seemed like he would not entertain starting that way. He said that he would potentially go that way during the game if it called for it based on the opponent, but he completely discredited kind of starting with a 4-4-2, which it doesn't come as a surprise. We know Jovanovic. We know what we're going to get with him. He doesn't often change things up, but that's kind of also the problem. And I think that's what we saw here. That Almeida knew exactly what was coming. And I don't think it's just he knew that was exactly what was coming, but it definitely led to him out coaching Jovanovic to on Monday. So I don't know. I don't want to say I love Jovanovic. Don't get me wrong, I love him, but there was questions to be asked after that game. The journalists were asking the questions, and I think it's he showed up today. But it's also ASTERAS. We'll get to ASTERAS in a bit, but it'll show against PAOK, and I think it'll really show in the next game against AEK. When we go to Hagia Sophia, whenever it is in the second round, I think it's really going to show there because I'm not saying we have to go there to win, but we cannot go there and get outplayed, outcoached again. I think that's where I stand.
And just for the listeners of the podcast, so in a private chat, I put up a proposed formation where I would have gone a 4-4-2, where you'd have Juanca, Bart, Magnuson, Gutierrez, right mid Palacios, center mids I would have gone Aral, Villena, left mid for just defensive and attacking purposes, because he's more of an attacking sort of midfielder. That left flank would have been Mladenovic, and up front Forti and Spora, because we knew Ike was going to play that back three, so just spring a surprise on them. But that was just what my thought process was. Arguably, I'd say Bernard was ineffective that game. Juanca was found out a lot. I think that was one of his worst performances. We did lose Magnuson in the first 20 seconds of the game with the knee injury, apparent ACL, so he could be out anywhere between 6 to 9 months based on recovery. The initial prognosis was 6 months, but
6,
which would mean he'd be time for the playoffs.
But that's really optimistic. Look at what we're going through with Aitor. Like, he's back, but he's not ready to really offer what we need him to offer. So I think it would be like that for Magnuson. Maybe he could be in the team list in 6 months, but I don't know, especially in the playoffs where it's high stakes. I don't know if he's going to be able to offer what we need him to offer. High intensity, high stakes. 6 months is optimistic, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we did see Aitor. He's also got injury. He's been ruled out. I'm not too sure what the how long he's ruled out for, but he did confirm on Twitter that he did have an injury. Can't remember what it was. I think it's got something.
I don't remember what it was either.
Yeah. Okay.
But
so
that's
bone edema. So what that causes a lot of discomfort. So the bone edema is essentially fluid within the bone marrow. So I think that causes a lot of inflamed area. So he's obviously out. Can take a bit of time with that usually. So just usual, just like a quick Google search, like recovery seems to be about 3 months. So if that's the case, that's a big blow. That's just a Google search on the government websites. So it seems a bit more reputable in terms of recovery times for bone edema. So yeah, that's obviously a big blow. Aitor, big blow.
I mean, no one is. I mean, I know he wasn't in the squad list for today, but no one's acting extremely concerned. So I don't know. I would just venture a guess that it's not. I mean, 3 months, but no one's acting extremely concerned.
Yeah, correct. So we'll just have to wait and see when that return. Obviously, we'll have hopefully him coming back soon. We know that Vayanidis is going to come back soon. But yeah, the eight game overall was disappointing. Very disappointing. And then that brings us to today's game, like 3 days later. Fixture congestions obviously coming in. We're not the only team suffering from it, so it is a league wide. But I think with the timing of we got Europe as well as a few of the other teams, and we've got derbies in between these fixture congestion. So we've got AEK have had to play us and Olympiacos. We've playing AEK and PAOK now in the middle of European games, so it's not ideal. But today, ASTERAS Tripolis, it was an away game. We were victors 4-1. Fun fact, we haven't won at ASTERAS. We did a double there, a League Cup and league game win in 2017. That ground has been very difficult for us to come away. It was a heavily rotated
Yep.
squad, so we got to see Eric Palmer Brown make his start. We got to see almost, apart from Kotsiras and Juricic, who backed up from the A game, we just saw completely changed game, changed team. When you look at the team, I'm sorry, I'll go back to one more comment. But I think we also got
Yeah.
the midfield wrong. I think the links, Arau and Vilena, are better linked compared to Ruben. Sorry, Seren as well. I think Seren's better linked with Ruben. I think we kind of lack there,
Because
but
that we had Vilena, we had Ruben, and we had
Juricic,
Bernard. Oh, Juricic was in the middle, and
yeah.
Bernard would start on the wing. Yeah, yeah.
So I think we
Yeah,
also got that a bit wrong as well.
I think I mean I think you're right. I think the fact that I think the Ruben touches shows it. I mean, there was nothing going on through the middle. It was obvious we couldn't, not that we couldn't string together two passes, but it was tough at some points. And just to go off of the stat with Ruben, I also saw, this is from the same article that I was reading. Until the 77th minute, Brignoli was our top passer in completed passes. So that just shows that nothing is going on in the midfield. Nothing is going on between the defense and the midfield. It was only after the 77th minute where I think it was Bart who overtook Brignoli for the top passer on the team in completed passes. But that's for argument's sake, that is the whole game where our keeper is leading
Yeah.
the team in passes, and
I
that's
think Bart kind of disappointed me as well. It was he took the ball forward. We'll go. Sorry, I know we're jumping back to the A game, but in that first goal, what led to that? He took the ball forward, and I think we are playing a short passing game. And I made a comment in our chat where in that 34th minute, that's the way to play the way to play AEK. Do the short passes, draw their defense in, and then spread it wide. I think there was one instance where we did that. Palacios broke through, and I think it was 40 that had it went to 40 on a half chance. It was a very good effort. It was probably like one of our main, the only efforts in
yeah.
that first half. So, and then what we saw was the goal that led to AEK. Bart took the ball down the field and just went long, just gave it straight to them. They came back, and that's that sequence of plays. So, um, yeah, I just wanted to add that point. But yeah, the Panetolikos game, very weak game. Obviously, as I mentioned, six
The
years.
Asteras game.
Yeah, sorry, Status game.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No
the game
worries.
3:30 Australian time. So
Yeah.
that really early goal. We got that really early goal. It was a free kick outside the box. I think Mladenovic sort of shot, did like a
I think he was looking for the far post. Yeah.
yeah. Adal just ran onto it, just came off his came off his stomach. The keeper was well wrong-footed at that point. We took the lead. I was, typing away, just updating the socials that we'd taken a 1-0 lead, and then from there, and we just conceded the goal. And once again, we took the 1-0 lead, then we just fall asleep, and what happened there was, and I made the comment, they just attacked us straight away. We're obviously half asleep, so they attacked us on the left hand side. I think it was like a shot cross or something that went wide. They recovered the ball edge
Yep.
of the box. They cut it back, and there was an instance where Juricic just casually shuffled. He
Yep.
didn't even press the player on the ball. Didn't even press him at all. The player just whipped it in, back post. Galtas out muscled, out strengthened Mladenovic. Mladenovic probably a bit too weak on the ball. Bit at fault there, but and Galtas buried it. Former player, and he's just celebrating like he's won the World Cup. Um, but yeah, I looked at that replay during halftime, the sequence, just see what caused that breakdown. But I just really think that was really lazy by Juricic. That whole tracking, pressing, he was just casually shuffling, just begging the player to cross it, and he put a pinpoint cross. That was a brilliant cross from them.
It was Alvarez, their left back, who's been there for who knows how long, and especially you gotta, I know Juricic is new to the league, but you gotta, Alvarez is one of their best players and not their best player, and he puts in good crosses. He's, that's what he does. So to give him that much time is is lazy, but also not reading the game properly. Like, Alvarez is the type of player who I think can put in. I think we were even looking at him at some point, maybe a couple of years ago when we were looking for a left back. But he's the type of player, even that under pressure, he could put in a good cross. That's what you want from your wing back. And especially if you're going to give him that much time, yeah, he's gonna pinpoint, and that's exactly what he did. I wouldn't expect anything less from him just because he's not playing on a big four team. No, he's good enough to do that, and you give him time, he's going to do that. So that was, yeah, I completely agree with you. That was lazy. That was not reading the game properly. Mladenovic, was he at fault? Yeah, I think he was out of position. I think, like you said, if you watch the replay, you could see he's kind of coming from not marking the man, and then he's coming to marking the man, and he doesn't even have enough time to jump and defend the header. But yeah, both of them, Mladenovic and Juricic, at fault there. We want to say one more than the other, but lazy. And what else can you say? Yeah, it was a gut punch 3 minutes after we scored, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was, as I said, I was just typing up the post.
Yeah.
And yeah, then it was a really physical. This was a really physical game. I think. ASTERAS were just really going in hard. Obviously the yellow cards were matching with what the physicality of the game. We weren't really too impressive. No team. It was more of an arm wrestle at that point. I said us, at times we're getting a little bit on top. We started getting on top. There was not many opportunities. Then I think there was a break, and I think at the moment, if we're talking about form, some of the form of our players, obviously excluding Forti, but Gutierrez, who captained the game, I think he was fantastic. And then obviously Palacios, who I think, Gutierrez and Palacios have come under a bit of fire, especially at the start of the season. I think they've been
Yeah.
our two best players the last few games. Palacios found room. He went to VAR, obviously, and they deemed it onside. Just brought, attacked that empty space, whipped in a pinpoint cross to the back post for a Verbic. It was a good goal. It was a pinpoint cross to the back post. Verbic wasn't an easy chance for him to just tap it in. You had to really get that on time to just volley it in for that finish on the left foot. What disappointed me about Verbic, and we'll discuss Verbic soon. We'll just continue with the game, but he just showed a little bit of lack of emotion when he scored the goal. I think none
I mean,
players went to him, but the players, I don't know. I think more of the players went to Palacios. It didn't look Verbic was, I don't know, too happy with.
it's a weird one. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it either. It's on one hand, it's you want to see him celebrate, show the passion, all that. On the other hand, he's been struggling. So, an over top celebration might also come off in a weird way. I don't know. I could see both sides of the argument is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, he does seem troubled,
Yeah.
frustrated. And I don't know what to make of it. I know he had all the personal stuff going on, but you know, as far as, we've been told that's not affecting at this point. So, is he frustrated, with on pitch stuff, I guess. But I don't know. Hopefully this gives him confidence. That's all I could say. Yeah, we could talk about Verbic later. I don't want to go too far deep into it, but yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully that gives him confidence.
And then we won a penalty right at the end of the first half. Kotsiras, once again, who I thought has been really brilliant. Shielded the ball. I think it was the ASTERAS midfielder or defender just clumsily just like went into him, like clipped
Yeah,
in the back.
stumbled over him kind of. Yeah,
Yeah, it was really silly. It was a clear pen.
yeah.
Up came Sporter. You kind of expect him to score. He's a striker. We know last year he missed, I think, one penalty from a really tame effort. And I think this one, I don't know how to feel about the effort. It was obviously put a little bit more power than the one that he last year's one where he just sort of tapped it. But yeah, keeper saved it.
It
Papadopoulos.
wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't the best penalty. It's easy to say when it's been saved, but we're gonna get to faulty in a little bit. But if you compare and contrast the two, they're not. They're not anywhere close to each other, unfortunately. And one was scored, one was not. But when you put it within the reach of a keeper, you're at least giving him the opportunity to save it, and let alone not in the corner, not even down the middle. Let's say if you think he's going to die left or right, he put it right there, just in the middle of his body, kind of chest height, not chest height, but chest area, low. It was a very catchable penalty, savable penalty if the keeper dove right, and he did. So you can't say it was a great penalty, not the worst I've seen, but
Yeah,
it's unfortunate for Sport to kind of the inverse of Verbic. As I hope this brings confidence to Verbic. I think this is going to do not good things to Sport. It's unfortunate to say, and I hope I'm wrong, but we're coming off of him scoring one of our two goals in Europe in our first European match, and a well taken goal at that. Even if maybe he should have passed it in that position, but that's another topic. But he's coming off of that high confidence booster, and then he goes and misses a penalty a week later. So I hope it doesn't affect him too much, but I could see it being in the back of his mind, unfortunately.
yeah, because he did score a really nice goal against Villarreal.
Yeah,
Did score that really nice goal. But then yeah, he gets that confidence, and then to just miss a penalty,
it's
have his penalty saved, and the rebound came to him. It was like an acrobatic volley,
oh,
and Papadopoulos, the keeper, was again. He just plays like prime Buffon against us.
it's crazy. Yeah,
He gets up and pushes it onto the post, and they get to clear it after that. It was really unfortunate.
it was a good effort from both there. I think Spora did well to get it back. It was a tough. He had no other option. He couldn't.
Yeah,
I don't think he couldn't have headed it. He couldn't have passed it. I
bring
don't
it
think. I
down.
think
Yeah,
that was
the players were there. The defenders were
that
ready with him.
was yeah, that was his one option, and I think he did the right thing. He did almost everything perfectly, but as you said, Papadopoulos just he shows up against us, and he did his job. He pulled out a good save, hit the crossbar, and then it was done. But yeah, I think you can't fault you could fault the original penalty, but everything after that was just yeah, I don't think you could fault that.
Yeah. Then we went to halftime. We saw Bart introduced for Eric Palmer Brown, who we initially thought was a bit weird, but it was later reported that Eric Palmer Brown had an okay game. Had like a little niggly injury, so just as precaution. Obviously, we're thin on numbers. It's the smart thing to do.
Yeah,
From there, the second half, we started off brightly. We had a few half chances. I think Sporter had a pretty decent shot where Papadopoulos again got to it. I think Adol had a header as well. Can't remember if that was the first half or the start of the second. then Asteras just really turned it on. They had this about 10-minute period
10
where
minutes. Yeah.
it just looked we were in trouble.
Yeah.
Panetolik was really coming into the game, and they were hitting hard. They were winning every ball. Couldn't control the game. We had lost shape of the game. We honestly thought that we would concede. I think we were worried that we weren't comfortable with a 2-1. We needed another
No,
goal, or else
not there. No.
Panetolikos were Asteras were going to score, and they had a couple of big chances. I think 40. Kotsiras was on sort of the line. There was a player next to him after a shot that he cleared. He did one or two big tackles as all to really stop their attack. And then from there, we made a couple of subs. It took a few minutes to for that to make impact. Obviously, we saw I think Palacios come off for Mancini. Seren came on for Villena. No,
Uh, uh,
Seren for
no, Charon played the whole 90. Who came?
yeah, it was
Villena came
Seren.
on for um
I think he came on for Seren, did he? Or Villena came on to give that midfield a bit of energy. Um,
Charon played the whole 90 for sure. I don't know. I can't remember who he came on for.
I'll just quickly bring it up. So sorry, Mancini came on for Verbic, and Spora came on for Ioannidis in the double sub. Villena came on for Palacios. That they were the subs. So
Okay, yeah, that was a weird thing. That was a weird one, kind of, but yeah.
yeah. When we saw that one, we thought, oh, what's happening here? So we saw the adjustments that Juricic seemed to go more on the left. But before we talk about the next play, we'll talk about the Verbic subs. Even though he got on the score sheet, Verbic played the 66 minutes. He
Yeah.
just, I said to our private chat that I think he's gone mentally weak. Where, like I said, he didn't celebrate the goal. It was right in front of our fans, the traveling fans.
That's true too. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
His emotions were out of check. I think he seemed quite frustrated at times. You can see those moments, those glimpses of good that what he showed. He showed a lot of good, trying to take on players, trying to be a bit trickery, skillful. There was quite a few good moments, but he just then at times head down, frustrated, lashing out. He just looked I just think when I say he's weak mentally, not in I'm trying to say that his head's not in the right space.
Right.
He just didn't look determined. He didn't look like a team player. He just looked like as an individual out there, just really frustrated. We don't know his situation, what's going on, whether his personal life is in check, whether he's just frustrated at playing time. Obviously, he's not in the European squad. Um, yeah,
I don't know. I don't have anything against him. I just don't know if how much he really, what's his drive and how much he wants to offer for the team. I understand, not being in the European squad. That's a, you know, no one wants to be in that position. But I would at least think that he would do the most to prove himself in the league, and take that as an opportunity to, okay, you're not in the European squad, there's going to have to be rotation for the European players. Let's say whoever's our left wing in Europe can't play every league game on the left wing, so I would hope that he could realize that and take that as an opportunity to maybe not solidify his role every day in the league, but try to play quite a bit in the league, considering that we have so many games.
yeah.
But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know.
And obviously our fans have been quite frustrated. You see it on socials, where he's come out injured, like leading into the game, like a day or two. So you just don't know where his head's at. But then move forward a bit. The introduction of our subs, essentially what happened was, initially I didn't think it was a penalty. Initially I thought it was a free kick.
Yeah.
The sequence happened outside the box. We had the ball on the right, cut back. Juricic was 1-on-1 with the defender, absolutely skinned him. Absolutely,
Yeah.
just ball went past him. Juricic was going to go 1-on-1 with the keeper. the Carmona that fouled him, that grabbed him. The sequence of the tug happened outside the box. It was when you read the rules later on, and I didn't know this. I thought the foul happens at the point of contact, but the rules state that if there's a foul and um, it continues all the way into the box, then a penalty must be given. I think the final
Right.
contact was within the penalty box. If
Yeah.
you see the replays, if you look more into it, that was the case. Were awarded the penalty, and just 40 gave the keeper zero chance. That's a world class penalty. No keeper in the world is saving that. I think
That's what I'm talking about. The difference between the Spora penalty and that, there's one is clearly coming from a striker in confidence and form. The other is not. You know,
yeah,
if
I think Papadopoulos thought he was going hard in middle because he hit that with power, and that just went side netting.
oh, look at the three last penalties Fotis has taken. If I'm not mistaken, it's the one today and it's the two against Marseille. I don't think there's any in between, and they're all brilliantly taken penalties. They're the same thing. I think only one was to the right of the to the left of the keeper, and the other two were to the right of the keeper. But they're all well out of the reach of any keeper. Even if you're 7 feet tall, I don't think you're saving those penalties. Those are as Rama as you can get, and yeah, it's just it was really interesting seeing just in the same game, but in 30 minutes apart, 40 minutes apart, the difference between the spar and the Fortis penalty. It's night and day.
Yeah, and you can see the confidence in the both players and what they do, because then you see into and you're right, because obviously Saren. So what happened was, to lead up to the fourth goal, I think Lodigan threw it, or the ball went to Saren. First time passed it to on the left
Forty.
to 40. 40 with his high IQ, and it's confidence, it's high IQ. It's not something I expected Spora to do from that position, where inside their half, maybe 30 meters out, 35 meters out, for the metric users. Spots Papadopoulos way off his line and just curls it away from him, just out of reach. Beautiful goal.
Perfect.
High IQ
Perfect.
to spot Papadopoulos out that
Yeah.
far. First time, it's the confidence. He's in the form of his career.
Weak foot. Weak foot. Just everything. You're 100% right, Sturge. It was uh yeah, it's really nice to see this from Fultz, because we've talked recently, and probably over the past 2 years, as a whole fan base, that this is the one thing he's missing from his game. He could play with his back to goal, he could do this, he could do that. He could play off the striker. That's where he's most effective, but he's been lacking really the goal tally, even last year, which I guess was probably his best season. But he's really been lacking the goal tally for a striker you could rely on. And finally, he's really coming through and patching up the one thing that was, I think, missing from his game. So it's an absolute pleasure to see from Foti, who we
And
love, and from
I
Greek.
still don't think he's a natural striker. I think he's a forward, but not a
I
natural
agree.
striker. And he's scoring. He's just there, in the air, on the ground, like that Villarreal game. That is a scintillating finish as well.
Oh,
I wish I was on to that podcast to just break it down, but it was just brilliant.
brilliant.
And then
Yeah.
obviously to spot, Papadopoulos out of his line like that. Yeah, really, really encouraging to see. We haven't seen that kind of a style of a striker since, I'd argue, Berg.
Yeah.
We've had a fair few players that just haven't worked out. Players on big money, just they haven't just worked out. Not too sure on their pedigree, but yeah, Fortis is kind of that shining light as a forward. And it was really good to see. And obviously, big win. Short turnaround. I think nine changes to the roster. There was a lot to say that this game was a recipe for disaster. I hadn't won there for a long time. There was just many factors that you could say we could be dropping points. Like, head might be down from A game, just see how the players rebound. But 3 points, it's a big 3 points for us.
I think you have to really, really respect what Ivan did today. Like you said, coming off of the AEK loss, short turnaround, recipe for disaster. Going to a team and a stadium that we don't perform well recently and in history. It was a recipe for disaster, but Ivan still had the balls to rotate the squad. Imagine if we had dropped points today. Imagine if we had lost. Let's say we would be pointing fingers. We'd be saying, Ivan, we're going to Tripoli where we don't do well. We're coming off of a loss, short turnaround, and you rotate the squad. Like that's probably what we would have been saying if we had lost. So,
Yeah.
but we didn't, and he really had the balls to rotate and trust the guys, and that's I think really important because you don't have the depth to not trust the guys. The depth is there to trust them, or you might as well not have the depth, in my opinion. So I really liked seeing that he did trust the depth because it's not just a starting 11. I do think we have quality players, guys who haven't started recently, like Arao and Charon, and our center backs. Let's say you know they are quality material and they're starting material, so it's not a starting 11, it's a starting 15, 16, 17,
Yeah.
however many you want. So I really liked seeing that was reflected in Ivan. So I do think it was a really nice bounce back from Ike.
You definitely agree with you on that point. Previous years we never had this kind of depth, and to
Yep.
put the depth in this game where we needed it, they all stood up. So obviously, for me, the guys that played well, definitely, 40 came off the bench, 2 goals. You'd have to look at Gutierrez was fantastic. Palacios did well in his time. Seren did good. Aral did good as well. Ladenovic kind of up and down. He did have that one half chance where almost scored. Papadopoulos palmed it over the bar. He had a
I
couple of loose passes.
I think he was I don't know. I think he was kind of shaky. He did have that good chance in, yeah, it was like the 55th minute, I think. But I think he was, yeah,
But
I don't know. I
I
he
think
was,
playing as that left back is a little bit out of comfort and
yeah.
position for him. So, but yeah, he was up and down in my opinion. A couple of loose passes. Obviously the being out strength. Juricic,
He was
not
all
too
right.
bad, not too bad. Obviously, for me, if you watch that first goal in full, just casually, focus on him and what happens in the build up to that cross. That's where I was disappointed, but overall, he did have some good touches. Serum was just getting kicked as well all game, but I thought he
I
was really
thought
good. I thought he was
I
really good.
thought Sharon I thought he was really good on the ball. I think I'm actually a pretty big Sharon fan. But I think he actually deserves quite a bit of credit today because okay, the obvious one is he put through the assist to Foti for the fourth goal, but he had the key pass in the second goal too. He's the one that passed that saw Palacios running into space. So he doesn't get credited with an assist there, but he had the assist to the assist, which I think recently has been kind of our problem, linking up, like we said, to our wingers, having the guy in the sixth position, the guy in the eighth position, linking the play to our wingers like Palacios, and he did that on that second goal. So Palacios was in plenty of space. It wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't like he threaded a needle, but for something that has been troubling us the past few games, I think he deserves the credit for having the assist on the assist there. And also that Mladenovic chance that in the 55th minute, Charon is also the one who put the ball through there for Mladenovic to run into the box. So I think for me, Charon was, you know, uh, maybe one of the best on the pitch. He was getting bullied around a little bit, but when he was on the ball, he was playing like a true eight, even like a 10, really connecting the mid to the attack, which I really liked seeing from him. And he's also coming off from Villarreal, which I think he had a really good performance there too. He didn't feature against AEK, but his last 180 minutes have been, in my opinion, really good. So I think he's really entered the conversation for, maybe not, starting 11 every game, but he's definitely someone I think we can rely on and Ivan can rely on.
Yeah, definitely agree with you on that. Yeah, I thought Terran was very good. And it's also worth noting. Palacios is showing that bit of form. Last season, absolutely, my opinion, he started off well, then kind of struggled after that hamstring injury that he had. But I think last season, the whole pretty much season, he only recorded 2 assists essentially, and it was in the same game versus Volos. So he's off the mark in terms of assists. He's got his first one so far. Hoping to see a bit more from him. Like I said, I've been really happy with the way he's performed. I think he's
Yeah,
performed very good lately.
he's
And now,
probably in our top three players so far. I think Bernard obviously stands out, Fortis and Palacios. I mean, a lot of our players have been excellent, but Palacios has really come back. I agree.
yeah, and that brings us to the preview of PAOK, which is going to be a difficult game. PAOK is never an easy game, especially at Leofordo, where they've actually pulled off a few results as of recent.
3-0, I remember. Yeah,
Yeah, 1-1 in the playoffs, where I think that kind of killed off whatever chance that we had for the league, where at the end, I think Bart got sent off with that silly high four.
yes,
And it's a tricky game. I think they might be without their best player, the guy from Lazio, Marcus Antonio. I think he's injured. I'm not too sure his status. But they've got big threats all over the park. In defense, they've got Gulierakis, who good defender, young upcomer. A lot of clubs are already looking at him. Um, in that midfield, they got Kostan Delias, who's another upcomer. He's going to be a special talent. Not just for PAOK, whatever club he does, if he does move on, and obviously for the national team.
he's excellent.
So they've got Kostan Delias. They've got in my
Zivkovic,
in my opinion, Zivkovic is probably their best player. He's
yeah,
a huge threat. They got Zivkovic. They've also got the Bulgarian Despodov.
Despodov, he's good.
Yeah,
He's been good
he's
since he came.
good. Yeah, so um, they've got it's a weird composition because they've got some really strong players in some areas and other players I don't think as strong. Um, in the other
It's
like Tyson is a bit of a weird one. He's what 35. Like he shouldn't really be troubling us too much, realistically. Their strength is obviously in that middle.
yeah.
Middle, their
I think
wing.
their midfield is very good. Yeah. They started today with Zivkovic, Murg, Tyson, Schwab, and Tsingaras. Tsingaras is good. That's a good midfield. I think you have obviously a lot more threat with Zivkovic on the right, but Tyson played well apparently today. I didn't see the match, but he played well today apparently. But he's hit or miss. I agree. Um, yeah, the I don't know. I don't know how to feel about PAOK. They've started strong this year. I mean, they haven't faced any real tests. I don't think the
They
toughest
drew,
game they
they
probably
drew
had on.
against Orphy. They're a team that I find very weird.
Yeah,
When I think they do have the talent, but it could. I might be pointing fingers at their coach. He's someone that doesn't really take accountability for whenever they drop
no,
points or losses. It's always
no,
something got to
it
do with someone else. Whether in the past he's blamed the Athens teams or something like that. Like he's just gone off
yeah.
script there. Doesn't take accountability, and I think he's probably a little bit to blame for a couple of their woes. They do have the talent. They've got some really good players on the field that could easily slot into. They can slot into the team. They just re-signed Zivkovic, who I was kind of hoping that we might. Yeah, just offer a contract, just tap up his agent to say, hey,
It would be nice to have him. Yeah, I
yeah,
think I think any team in Greece would accept him with open arms. Even Olympiacos and AEK, I think would also accept him.
yeah.
But
So it's a bit of a weird one. I do find this one going to be obviously a tricky game. Obviously, our home results against PAOK in the past haven't been the greatest. I think our away form is much, much better. Um, So it's a game where obviously we need to win. It's another derby where we're 0-1 already from a derby, not even a draw. So it's not a good look if we go 0-2 at home derbies, especially as well. Home derbies are
100%.
always must win. So
What do
I,
you think? What do you think lineup wise?
I think we're going to go full strength. I think I think we've got enough time for full strength and a recovery to take on Maccabi Haifa after that. It's just going to be one of those games where it's hard to predict. For me, it's hard to predict which way it's going to go. You don't know which which bulk's going to turn up, which Panathinaikos is going to turn up. Do we go early go again and we just put our heads down and let teams just dictate the terms? Like, what's the response?
You know,
Obviously,
I hope we get confidence from today. I know we were saying the same thing. You know, coming off of Villarreal, heading into AEK, we're thinking we were coming in with confidence, as was AEK because they got a big win also, and credit to them. But I for the same reason, I hope that today gives us confidence. The goals, even if it was flattering, if nothing else, I do hope it gives us confidence and we take that and that we go up 1-0 because that's the goal, and that we don't fall into the habit that we've had the past 4 games where we just turn it off after 1-0.
yeah,
Yeah, because that seeing that repeat is where it becomes concerning. One time, okay, I don't want to excuse it, but when it becomes a trend, that's when I'm like, okay, that's where I'm gonna start, raising an eyebrow.
yeah, of course, yeah.
But I could see a good performance. I'm not worried. The eye game, even though it was a horrible performance, I'm not too worried about it because it is kind of an isolated event. It is against AEK and it's at home, so that obviously hurts. But I don't want to put too much emphasis on it in the sense that it's happening in a streak of games, because it's not really. Like, if you take all the games that we've played recently from Panetolikos, then to Villarreal, and then today Asteras. Okay, today wasn't a blowaway performance, but still a decent performance. The AEK is kind of a standalone event that it happens, and you don't want it to happen against AEK. You don't want it to happen at home, but it happens, and it's not happened for 3 games in a row. So I do think we could bounce back and we could have a good performance against PAOK.
And it just shows that the A game could also act as a wake up call that you can't take anything for granted. You know, um, I'd like to say that we will win against Bulk. There's obviously optimism. 2-1. Um, obviously, I can't see 40 not starting. If we're
He
going
has to.
we're going
He has
striker,
to.
I've gone into bat for Sporter for quite a bit this year. I think when we did a season preview in the first podcast, I really went after Sporter. I just thought waste of talent. But I think he's justifying what I said preseason. He needs goals. He needs goals. He's a striker. That's what he's paid to do. And uh, he needs
He
to show a bit
he's
more. He's doing the hard work. Yeah, he's getting into a couple of the positions, but at the end of the day, you're going to be judged on what you achieved, the goals you scored. And
he's a weird one because we criticize him, and you know he needs to score goals. That's what he's going to be judged off of. But he shows up. He showed up in our first European matches. He scored what, like 3 in a handful of goal
yeah,
of games. So he showed up and then he disappears, and then he shows up for the national team and then he disappears, and then he scores in our first European group stage match, and then he misses a penalty. So I don't know. It's
he's
up and down. It's more down than up, but it's a weird one. We all want him to do well because it helps the team, and it's no one, I don't think, I hope, wishes him poorly, but it's so up and down. It's frustrating as a fan.
what do you think predicted lineup and what's your score or how do you think the match will go?
Lineup wise, I think you're right. I think we're gonna go back to all our main guys. It's gonna have to be Brignoli. I think it's gonna be Juan. Mladenovic and Juankar both were not great in the games that they played. Mladenovic today and Juankar on Monday. But I think just because of rest, Juankar is going to get the nod. Then it has to be Jedvaj and Bart center back, and Kotsiras, of course, right back. I think Ruben is going to come back for the six. I think he was rested today probably for that reason. Um, Even though Jovanovic had to throw him in there for 5 minutes for I don't know, no reason in my opinion, but whatever. That's a minor thing. So yes, I think Ruben comes back in the six. I think the eight is a question mark. I talked about how I like Chair, I think he's had his past two games 90 minutes has been good in my opinion, very good. So I think he's giving a little bit of a hard decision to Jovanovic, but I think it's between Sheridan and Villena. I think Villena might get the nod because of Sheridan did play the full 90 today, so that probably indicates that he will not play more than 20 minutes maybe on Sunday. So let's say Villena at the 8. I think Bernard has to be at the 10. I think that's the next question. I don't want to see. I really am fed up with trying him on the wing. I think we've experimented. We've shown that it doesn't work. We've seen this season how effective he has been at the 10. He's been pivotal. So I think that's our midfield: Ruben, Villena, and Bernard at the 10. And then I think it's the basics. I think it's Mancini, Palacios, and Fotis.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that lineup.
Yeah,
But I do think Villena gets the start. I think we need
yeah,
someone a little bit more disrupting in that midfield, a little bit of a workhorse. That's Villena's role to just really cover
yeah.
box to box. So we're going to need that against PAOK, especially, Costandelias in that midfield. Just really disrupt that midfield, just bring energy to that midfield, especially from Ruben, someone that's going to track up and down. Kind of need
Yep.
that. Obviously, we don't know still the status of what Eric Palmer Brown is. So
I think he's completely out of the question for Sunday.
we might bring a kid. We might bring Sideras or Fikai. I think what's his name? Yova did talk about the youth players being promoted. He did mention those two names.
He has to bring them. Has to.
So one or the
Has to.
other.
I don't think Palmer Brown is gonna feature at all. That means we have no center back other than Jedvaj and
The advice was
um
with but
yeah, got to be them too. But it's got to be, I think third off the bench would be Sideras, and then Fikai right behind him. But you got to have both. I think you have to have both. We were talking about it for today. I think one of them should have probably been in the team sheet, not in the team sheet, but in the squad list at least for today. Probably Sideras, but he wasn't. But I think both have to be there on Sunday.
yeah, correct. We're nearing the return of Vayanidis. He did put something on Instagram back soon. So whether it's this week, whether it's against Maccabi Haifa or the game after that, we'll wait and see. But we do have Maccabi Haifa next week. We'll probably do a podcast post-bulk, so we can just do a full review on Maccabi Haifa. It's just interesting reading on them that I'd love to share, but we'll probably need a separate podcast of this. But yeah, I think we'll just touch on a little bit of basketball. So over the last week, there was the Yanakopoulos tournament. Teams invited were Bayern Munich, and we played I think FS in the final. Can't remember who they.
FS, yeah,
Yeah.
FS.
From what a lot of the commentary, just watching glimpses, that there is a lot of optimism for this team. There's ball movement that we haven't seen in a long time. Players like Lesort, the big man, just really dominating the boards, just slam dunks. Like obviously we won that trophy. We beat Bayern by 6, then FS by 1. I think it was FS that came, or Fenerbahce, one of the two.
Partizan was also there.
Okay, yeah, Partizan lost in that first game, so it's an instant knockout, just 4 teams. And then, yeah, the basketball team, if you are a basketball fan, obviously once the season starts, we'll get more into it. But yeah, there's a lot of optimism. So if you
There's a
do
lot of
like
excitement.
basketball, there's big things coming up. So for the team, so we'll touch on that once their season starts. But yeah, that probably will bring us to the end of the podcast. Alex, welcome. It was a pleasure bringing you on. We'll definitely get you on more often. Obviously, we have people are working. Um, there's just a whole host of reasons, but you've been to quite a few games this season yourself already. I think you went to a couple of the European games early on.
Yeah, I was in Greece over the summer. I was there for Dnipro home 2-2, which was nice. We got the obviously we moved on, and I was there for the first Marseille game, which that was really nice. I mean, I think it was topped by Villarreal at AEK, but the Marseille was, that was really fun, and we scored in the 83rd minute, and that was crazy. But I do wish I was at the Villarreal game last week, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Thank you. Been great. Obviously speaking to you, giving us your input. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
For everyone else, thank you for tuning in, listening in. Share, have a listen, share with friends, family, get the word out. We probably are more conversative on Twitter, the accounts. If you want to join our chat, just reach out to us. We got like a small group. There's about 20 of us in the chat. Obviously, quite a bit of banter, a bit of conversation, some good conversations, analysis there. And yeah, great speaking to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.